Hi and welcome to the HB3 Reading Practices Update video. Lots for you on the agenda today. We'll recap our HB3 and 30 Reading Practices webinar, cover models for implementation, and discuss the role of the authorized provider and that of the cohort leader. We'll also talk about funding and cost for reading academies, how to plan for success in implementation, and conclude with next steps for districts. My name is Jake Kaburski, Media Relations Manager here at the Texas Education Agency, and joining me on today's presentation is Cherry Lee, Director of Reading Academies. Before we dive in, let's take a moment to clarify what to expect in this video. Although we'll provide information on costs and a new method of implementation, we're not going to provide specific information on the scope and sequence of the Reading Academies. However, we are planning on communicating more information in the coming months, beginning in mid-December. All of this information will be posted on the new TEA Reading webpage at tea.texas.gov/reading.
We will begin this section with a broad overview of reading and review the significant supports for literacy included in House Bill 3. Despite extensive efforts to improve literacy achievement in the state, student reading proficiency has not increased. In fact, 65% of 4th and 8th grade students who participated in the National Assessment of Educational Progress, known as the NAEP Reading Assessment, scored below proficient. Through the House Bill 3 Reading Academies, we have a statewide opportunity to boost teacher understanding and application of scientifically based reading practices referred to as the science of teaching reading, providing educators with the essential skills needed to ensure all children develop a strong foundation in reading is of top priority so that students succeed in college, a career, or in the military. On September 12th, we released our first House Bill 3 and 30 Reading Practices video. This previously recorded video provided information that supports understanding of today's video, including funding sources for the Reading Academies. We highly encourage you to watch the previously released video before continuing to watch this presentation. That said, today we're looking forward to sharing additional updates and clarifications regarding the House Bill 3 Reading Academies. As we shared in that first video, House Bill 3 requires each teacher and principal in grades kindergarten through 3rd to attend Reading Academies by 2022. This represents over 121,000 educators. Districts are responsible for ensuring that teachers and principals attend. There are a few clarifications that TEA plans to propose through rulemaking. While the Reading Academies require attendance by 21-22, TEA plans to propose that starting Reading Academies by the summer of 2022 adheres to this requirement. This means there are 3 school years to complete Reading Academies: 2021, 21-22, and 22-23. Furthermore, the agency is considering temporary exemptions for teachers in specific subject areas. The agency will be gathering additional feedback from districts on recommendations regarding temporary exemptions. Now we want to recap Reading Academy models and discuss options for implementation. There are 2 primary models that will meet the statutory requirement: blended or comprehensive. Both models require submission of the same artifacts, cover the same content, and will use the same House Bill 3 Reading Academies Learning Management System. Before we continue, let's review key terms utilized during this section. Authorized providers are entities formally approved by TEA to provide the Reading Academies. Blended facilitators and comprehensive coaches are persons that are facilitating the Reading Academies. Blended facilitators are the leaders of a blended cohort, while comprehensive coaches are leaders of the comprehensive cohort, and cohort leaders refer to both blended facilitators and comprehensive coaches. Cohort leaders must meet all qualifications set forth by TEA. Reading Academies can only be offered by official authorized providers. Applications for both an ESC and non-ESC entities will be available the first week of December. Applications are due in late January. All Reading Academy providers must be formally authorized and approved by TEA on a set of baseline requirements presented on this slide. Serving as an authorized provider will require upfront funding on the part of the provider. Authorized providers will need to employ personnel to both meet the management aspects and the training needs posed by the Reading Academy's rollout. providers must also follow and implement House Bill 3 Reading Academy's content as designed by TEA and ensure all cohort leaders pass the mandatory hiring screen before facilitation of any Reading Academy sessions. They are also required to attend mandatory training discussed later in the presentation. Please note, non-ESC entities must demonstrate the capacity to offer 4 comprehensive and 8 blended cohorts. Through stakeholder feedback, TEA has developed a new implementation choice for districts. This approach is best for districts who think they have staff who are qualified to lead the training. In this approach, districts who implement the Reading Academies locally will sign an MOU and pay a flat fee per cohort leader directly to the authorized provider. The authorized provider will offer technical assistance and registration for the district. As stated previously, cohort leaders must pass the cohort leader screening. More information on that in a bit. Let's consider the various ways LEAs could implement the Reading Academies. LEAs could serve as authorized providers if selected by TEA through an application process. They could implement Reading Academies locally if they employ qualified staff, or they could utilize an authorized provider to meet all the requirements of the House Bill 3 Reading Academies. Of note, districts may work with other districts to form a consortia to apply to serve as authorized providers. They can also form a consortia to implement Reading Academies locally. In these scenarios, the consortia would require MOUs to establish joint ownership of the responsibilities. To review, districts may apply and serve as authorized providers upon selection by TEA, or they can utilize an authorized provider to provide all Reading Academies training. Another option for districts to consider is to administer the Reading Academies locally by signing an MOU with an authorized provider. In all scenarios, only qualified cohort leaders can provide Reading Academies. This slide compares the implementation options. Let's look at the second row. Districts who serve as authorized providers must be able to meet all requirements as discussed previously. They should also have capital to dedicate at least 1 FTE to provide logistical support, and they also assume all costs associated with the Reading Academies. Another option includes the third row. Districts who implement the Reading Academies locally may likely already have instructional coaches serving that can serve as cohort leaders. Of note, districts who choose to implement locally must ensure that staff assigned as cohort leaders have capacity to fulfill all cohort leader responsibilities and obligations. If staff are reassigned to serve as cohort leaders, care should be taken to ensure previous responsibilities are shifted. Cohort leaders must meet qualification requirements determined by TEA. And in the last row, districts who utilize an authorized provider to provide all management and training will receive full support that may reduce the district management load. These districts will not be required to employ staff to lead or facilitate the Reading Academies training. Further considerations for LEAs include specifications of time commitments and requirements for cohort leaders. Please note, one blended cohort can include up to but not more than 100 participants. Blended facilitators can lead up to 3 cohorts at a time. Coaches can lead up to 1 cohort of up to no more than 60 at a time. Coaches are required to provide 10 days of in-person training and 4 personalized 1-hour coaching sessions. In the first House Bill 3 and 30 video, we shared estimated costs. These costs are now set and reflect the fees associated with each model. Fees per participant in the blended model are set at $400, and fees per participant in the comprehensive model are set at $3,000. Ideally, districts are structuring the House Bill 3 Reading Academies within campus-wide professional development, or PLCs. If this is not possible, districts should plan associated cost of substitute teachers within their budgets. Districts who wish to implement Reading Academies locally will be required to sign an MOU with an authorized provider and will pay a flat fee per cohort leader to cover the cost of management, oversight, and related training. Fees per facilitator in the blended model are set at $10,000, and fees per coach in the comprehensive model are set at $12,000. This cost would cover that cohort leader's training and support. Interested entities can apply to serve as authorized providers in December. Selected entities will be notified in February of 2020. Additionally, authorized provider training is mandatory and scheduled for March 2nd through the 4th in Austin. At least one staff member from each authorized provider should attend this mandatory training. Now let's talk specifically about cohort leaders. All cohort leaders for any model or implementation option must pass a centralized screening process. Prospective candidates can apply for the screening and qualification process on March 9th, 2020. Candidates will then be notified on April 15th. Additional opportunities to apply will likely occur on a monthly basis. Cohort leaders will attend mandatory training in either May or June. Cohort leaders must at a minimum demonstrate proficiency on a screening, and they should have served as a teacher in grades K through 5. Please note, graduate level training and coursework may be substituted for K through 5 experience. What resources or materials should prospective cohort leaders utilize should they wish to prepare for the screening process? Please review this information at www.teaa.texas.gov/reading. The following section will address implementation considerations. As you have seen in the previous sections, LEAs have multiple decisions to make. LEAs should consider the following decision points: what implementation options work best, and which staff members would benefit most from which specific models of training. Now consider the examples over the next few slides. This slide presents implementation examples for LEAs to consider when determining how to structure the rollout of the House Bill 3 Reading Academies so that all teachers and administrators complete the training by 2023. LEAs can determine what model or models to utilize based on staff needs. Remember, there are 3 years to train teachers and principals, and there are many possible approaches to completing the House Bill 3 requirement. This slide provides examples of structuring attendance at the Reading Academies, as well as estimation of the time to complete all required course content and submission of artifacts. Participants will have 11 months to complete the House Bill 3 Reading Academies course. Districts should develop and set their professional development calendars to allow staff ample opportunities to complete required content. Should staff members need additional time to complete Reading Academies, districts could re-enroll participants in another cohort. LEAs can ensure Reading Academy success by selecting a point person to support an effective rollout, determining an implementation schedule that makes sense with existing calendars, building in adequate pre-service and in-service days within the PD schedule, and structuring professional development such that the content is scaffolded during the year. LEAs can also consider incorporating Reading Academy's materials and content within PLCs to deepen learning, and requiring additional staff like instructional coaches, reading specialists, evaluation personnel, and other district leaders to complete the training so that a shared vocabulary and understanding of reading practices is developed across the district. Of note, if your district has already finalized your PD calendar for the 2021 school year, your district should plan to begin offering Reading Academies in the following school year, 21-22. We want to briefly touch upon the other reading components discussed in House Bill 3. On our new TEA Reading Practices homepage, you can find information on the Reading Academies, including a related timeline of activities and tasks, the Science of Teaching Reading exam, phonics curriculum, placement of highly effective teachers, and integrated reading assessments. On our new TEA Reading Practices homepage, you can find information on the Reading Academies, the Science of Teaching Reading exam, phonics curriculum, placement of highly effective teachers, integrated reading assessments, and information on the Reading Advisory Committee. As noted in the September 12th Reading Practices video, districts will certify their reading practices this year by answering a survey that will go out in December. There are 3 areas to consider and to plan for at the district level: use of a systematic explicit phonics curriculum, placement of highly effective teachers in primary grades, and integrated reading assessments. Districts should consider how these practices support their early childhood literacy and math plans. In subsequent years, TEA will provide guidance on how to improve these practices. The Commissioner appointed a Reading Advisory Committee in accordance with House Bill 3 to advise the agency on reading practices. The call for nominations went out on August 1st, and 16 members were selected to encompass a diverse range of backgrounds, expertise, and current roles. This group includes practitioners and academic professionals with expertise in teaching, educational leadership, bilingual education, ESL, special education, and dyslexia. Check out their bios on the new Reading Practices website. Let's address a few frequently asked questions. Are assistant principals and instructional coaches allowed to attend reading academies? Yes, while assistant principals and instructional coaches are not required to attend, we recommend they attend this important professional development. Can districts implement both blended and comprehensive models, or are they required to select only one model? Yes, districts can select both House Bill 3 Reading Academy models that are best suited to meet the needs of their staff. For example, districts may determine that new teachers would benefit most from the comprehensive model, while the blended model is better suited for more experienced teachers and administrators. Again, this is determined by districts. Do the reading academies pertain to all K-3 teachers? Yes, all teachers, including special education teachers and those teaching non-language arts subjects and administrators, are required to complete the academies. As noted earlier, we are planning to propose rules that exempt some of these groups, particularly art, music, and physical education teachers. What happens if a teacher or principal does not demonstrate proficiency on the House Bill 3 Reading Academies through the blended model? Participants who do not demonstrate proficiency may enroll in a new cohort. Participants who are unsuccessful may also benefit from participating in the comprehensive model, which provides additional coaching along with face-to-face training. What are implications for educator preparation programs, also known as EPPs? TEA is sharing this information with EPPs and discussing how to best support new teachers with the requirements of the House Bill 3 reading practices. This includes the content of the reading academies and ensuring new teachers learn the competencies of the science of teaching reading prior to placement in the classroom. Let's end the presentation with next steps. To guide the planning process, districts should think about potential funding sources for reading academies. Remember, districts have funding through the early education allotment, the dyslexia allotment, and the increase to the basic allotment that can be used to fund reading academies. Districts should also determine what implementation model makes the most sense and what teachers should attend in what years. Districts should also determine which model, blended or comprehensive, best meet the needs for individual teachers. Lastly, they should evaluate how reading academies fit into the professional development schedule over the next several years. As a reminder, this is a great time to take a look at the reading landscape within your district. A deep understanding of the effectiveness of your current phonics curriculum, your placement of highly effective teachers, as well as how your reading instruments are integrated and aligned with the TEACs will be helpful in planning for reading success. For potential authorized providers and local implementers, save the tentative dates for mandatory training. Of note, TEA will facilitate training in Austin. As noted at the beginning of the video, we have planned additional communication for the coming months. In addition to future video presentations, TEA will post applications for authorized providers in December. All updated information will be posted on the TEA reading page.
As a reminder, you can also access a series of videos and related resources regarding House Bill 3 on our website, teaa.texas.gov/HB3. And if you have any questions about today's topic or past or future topics that you'd like us to address, shoot us an email at hb3info@teaa.texas.gov. Thanks for all your support of Texas public education. We hope that the resources we provided you about House Bill 3 continue to improve the great work that happens in our classroom every day.